Hey guys, today I will be going over what happened to ThrustForce Heavy on its first 3 flights. Let's get into it. So first up, we're going to be looking at Flight 1. So first we're going to look at the outside camera, and then we're going to look at the pad camera on the right. So let's get started. So let's first look at the outside camera and see what goes wrong. So first you can see here, there's only smoke coming out the one side here, so that right there is a problem. And then you can see it violently pitches over to the left and crashes. And as you can see there, the nose cone popped off, and the part 2, let me rewind that real quick, and the second part of the rocket broke off here, and as you can see, this motor is still burning. So that is a failure. So let's look at the pad cam and see what actually happened at a closer look. Okay, so let's take a look at the pad camera footage. So, as you can see, right away, one motor lights here, and you can see no visible flame coming out of the left 2 engines there. So as it lifts off, it ejects the igniter tray, so these 2 motors now have no igniters to light them. But when they land down, you could probably see here in my circle around my mouse, there's a glow on both of them. These 2 igniters lit after the rocket cleared the pad. So what this is a huge timing error here. So it looks like the amps, or the amount of amps that went from the batteries to here, it didn't all get here in time, and there was just a giant timing error here. So the rocket lifts off with only one engine, which causes tons of torque in the pad. You can see how the rail is completely bent here, and then it spins off and crashes. Okay, so let's take a look now at Flight 2. So, right away here, you can see it lifts off with one engine again, which is pretty much a repeat of the first flight here. And it does its nosedive into the ground, and boom. So it's pretty much the same error happened here. Huge timing error, though this time the igniters get stuck onto the bottom of the rocket, and you'll see that here on the pad cam here. As you can see, motor lights, and there's like some tangling going on with the igniter clips, and the igniter carriage stays attached to the left core there, and it spins out, and it causes some whole pad torque here, and there it is, and boom, there you go. At the igniter setup that I had for flights 1 and 2 that ultimately caused it to fail. So I had 2 12-volt batteries and this igniter setup here. So it had 2 copper wires running horizontally here. So each igniter was tied on by its the two pieces of metal that stick out of the bottom of it that the alligator clip onto, was wrapped around each copper wire, and the launch controller was clipped right here and right here. So here's a 2D diagram of this. So in both flights, igniter number 1 always lit, while the other igniters 2 and 3 either lit or completely failed. So this setup was really bad. So for flight 3, I added another battery and switched out how the igniters were set up. So let's go take a look at that. Okay, so let's take a look now at flight 3. So we're going to start with the outside camera, and then we'll go to the pad camera. Okay, so as you can see, we have a bit more smoke than last time, and as you can see right there, we do have 3 engines burning right now. There you go, right there. So I was able to fix the ignition here, and it goes up, and we did have a teeny bit of unbalanced thrust, which we'll see on the pad cam in a minute, but this one was really successful, and I do want to, for the next flight, I want to make sure this thing can go straight up. So there you go, it goes horizontally, deploys the parachute, and touches down. So if we take a look at the pad cam, you can see the left engine lights first, and then the other 2, which causes an uneven balance. So you can see how the flames on the right side are longer than the flame on the left here. So that caused a major thrust imbalance, which caused it to pitch over violently like that. So that was basically it. So with the flight 3, and so I was able to fix the ignition system by adding another battery, which ultimately was able to deliver enough amps to light all 3 igniters. So let's look at what I changed, starting with how the igniters are wired. So I found this thing called a clip whip, and what it does is it basically connects to the 2 alligator clips on the controller over here and splits it into 3 pairs. So that made my job way easier with wiring everything up. So this is also way more reliable than the copper wiring system here. And just to go back to the point that about the thrust imbalance, you can see where this motor's flame here is in like the middle of its burn. The other 2 are at the very beginning of its burn. So you can see that this flame is way shorter and these flames are way longer. So to fix that on the next flight, I am going to add a 3rd battery. Sorry for the typo here. It says the original one battery setup. It was the 2 battery setup. So I'm going to add a 3rd battery to it and see if my theory of if I overload each igniter with amps, that it will light pretty much at the same time. They don't have to be exactly at the same time, but mostly at the same time. So we'll see. I'll see you on the 4th flight of ThrustForce Heavy.